So I'm a graduate in international relations, and I co-founded Edurite Careers in 2020. So we started Edurite Careers with an aim of peer mentoring students. As I told you, like I just graduated. So we want to help students like us go through the whole application process, because we know the kind of pressure that you go through with pressure from family or from the society to pick the perfect career. So we've been through all of that. So we can help you with everything we help you in your transition from school to college. So as a part of the peer mentorship that we conduct, today I will be guiding you guys on how to build a strong profile. So if you have any questions, you can, I think we're gonna have a Q&A session at the end of the session. So then you guys can note down your questions, and then I will be more than happy to answer those for you. So the first question that I get asked a lot is, what is the difference between a CV and a resume? So, okay, so first I want to tell you all what exactly is a resume. So a resume is basically you are presenting yourself, your achievements, you as a student to the admissions committee. You want to show them that, okay, this is what I have to offer to your organization. If I join your organization, then this is what I am good at, and this is what I will excel in, right? So now coming to the question, what is the difference between a CV and a resume? Both of them are your profiles. They will be telling the organization, the college about you. But the only difference is that the CV is a little more detailed and the resume is a lot more crisp. So a resume is supposed to be only 1 page long, or max 1.5 page. So when the committee looks at your resume, at one glance, they know that what kind of a student are you, what you're good at, how you are going to benefit the organization. The CV is a little more detailed. You write a lot of details, what turnover, for example, you interned at some organization. You tell them how you benefited them, what kind of turnover happened at that, how did the numbers change, how did the stats change. All of that will fit in the in the CV. That is the only difference. But both CV and resume should look very professional, very clean, and very crisp. Okay, so now if you've been asked for your resume, send a very short, crisp document. And if you've been asked for a CV, then send in a very detailed document. That is the only difference. Now today we will be talking about profile building in general. Okay, so one question that I have been asked a lot is, what is the need to build a profile? What is the need to build a CV or a resume during your school days? Now, there are two reasons for this. One, in today's world, people are looking for holistic people to work with. That is, that nobody wants to work with somebody who's just good at academics. Of course, you have to be good at academics, but now that's not the only tick mark that you have to have, right? So now you have to be good in something other than academics. You have to excel in something, say some kind of a sport, or some kind of, say, have a hobby. Say, for example, if you like debating, you could go for a lot of debate competitions. If you like dancing, you could do something in, say, classical dancing. So do something that shows people that, okay, you are not just good at academics, but you are also trying to make an effort outside of academics. And these activities have to be something that you are not compelled to do. It's not compulsory for you to do these activities. You're doing them out of your own will, right? So that is the kind of things that the admissions committee or your recruiter will be looking at. And the second is, it's very simple, that the competition in today's time is really intense. Okay, so you need to stand out of the crowd, and just being good at academics is not going to help you with that. You think that when you apply to, forget about universities abroad, even universities in India, now, of course, they look at your grades. They look at your 10th grades, 12th grades, but they also look at, now, say 100 people have scored 93%. How are they going to choose who is the better one for their college? That's when the resume comes into the picture. That's when the activities that you've done outside of school comes into the picture. So this is why it is extremely important for you to build your resume. The second question that I get asked a lot is, what is the right time to start building your resume, to start working on your resume? So personally for me, I was always someone who was very proactive, and I didn't really, consciously think that, okay, I am doing this for my resume, or okay, I need to do this for my resume. I used to grab any opportunity that I got in school, say if it was an inter-school competition, or it was some sort of a club that I formed, or it was some sort of an event that I organized. So it was always looking at problems that were there and looking for opportunities I could grab. For example, there is I am interested in debating, but there is no debate club in school. Go ahead, form it yourself, approach the committee, take initiative, and all of that. Coming back to the question, the right time to start building your resume, if you consciously want to start, if you want to make an effort to start building your resume, then I would suggest for your undergraduation, when you apply for bachelor's, they ask for your put in all the activities that you've done from 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th. These 4 years are very, very crucial. Apart from that, if you've done some really important stuff before that, say for example, you've represented the country in some particular sport, go ahead and put that. Something really significant apart from these 4 years, that can go on your resume. But as I said, it has to be very crisp. You don't have to beat around the bush in the resume. There, it has to be pointers. People should see, and they should come to know what you're good at, right? So 3 to 4 years for your bachelor's. If you're applying for your master's, then they will look at what you've done in your college years. So from, say, again that is 3 to 4 years before you apply for your master's. And if you're applying for a job, then they want to know your work experience. So another tip that I want to give here is that you should alter your resume according to the organization that you're sending it to. For example, now you're applying for the job of a social media manager. I don't want to know if you're good at debating or not. I don't want to know if you are, good at, say, if you've learned certain softwares that are not useful here. I want to know that, have you worked as a social media manager before? If yes, then put that. Have you done any courses in social media management? If yes, then put that. So you need to make sure that you put the relevant things first, and then you put things that might not be that relevant, but could increase your chances of getting in. Okay. And if you think there are some things that don't matter at all, don't put that. Okay, because again, it has to be 1.5 page long, not more than that. Okay, that is that. Apart from that, now coming to the main topic, how to build a resume. Now, the one main tip that I want to give you all about building a resume is that you don't have to have 10 activities in your achievement list. That is not what people are looking for. Have 3 to 4 activities, but make sure that you are consistent in those. And especially in India, there are so many activities that you could do. For example, I know there is the Trinity School where then there are classical music, or there's classical dance, or there's some sort of sport. So all these things have levels. Make sure you get to the last level. Make sure you complete the training that you're doing. That just shows the college or your recruiter that you are consistent at what you do. You're a hard worker and you don't give up easily. Okay, so you have to focus on the quality more than the quantity. You don't want some 12 activities that you've done only once. That's not going to help, right? You need to be consistent in what you're doing. For example, if you've started learning music, then you need to learn music for 6 years, 7 years, complete all the levels, give all the exams, get a certificate, and then put it on your resume. If you're doing some sort of a sport, don't just be in your school team, or don't just be in your, say, school house team and put it on your resume. No, that's not going to help. You need to be at a good position to be able to put it on your resume, right? So now, what are the different activities that you could undertake in order to build your resume? first, very important, is leadership. You should have some sort of leadership aspect on your resume, because that is something that a lot of colleges look for. Now, what do I mean when I say leadership? Is that you could organize some event that could be, it doesn't necessarily have to be related to what you're studying. It could be anything. It could be, for example, you organize a flea in your city, like a flea market, or if you organize like a Model United Nations conference in your city, anything. For example, now Devyani has organized this fundraiser. This is a leadership aspect. This will show leadership quality when she puts it on her resume, right? So do something of that sort. And it doesn't have to be very big scale. It could be something as small as forming a club in your school. Like I gave the example before, if you don't have a debate school and a debate club in your school and you are interested in debating, go ahead and form your own club. You have to take initiative to build your resume. It all comes down to that. Okay, then next we have, you could work on a research paper. Now, what exactly a research paper will be, that again, it doesn't have to be limited to what you are studying, but if it is, then obviously it is more beneficial. If it's not, then that works as well. For example, if you are somebody who is getting into fashion, who wants to study fashion, then you could write on the growth of sustainable fashion in the past 5 years. You could write a research paper on that. Or for example, if you are studying business or management or economics or anything, you could also write the growth of you could also write on the growth of sustainable fashion. That's what I mean to say, that it doesn't really necessarily have to be related to the topic that you to the subject that you will be studying. For example, I was studying international relations. I was studying about world politics, global politics, all of that, but I wrote a research paper on the Dowry Prohibition Act in India. So it doesn't necessarily have to be connected, but if it is, then good. Like it's always beneficial when you're applying to a university in the future. Now, what a research paper is, that you will be selecting a topic that you're interested in, for example, sustainable fashion, and you will be researching on that. You will be researching in depth about that. So you will be conducting primary research, you will be conducting interviews, talking to people, say, for example, talking to designers in the sustainable fashion industry. And then you will also be conducting secondary research. Now, again, that will be looking at research papers online or studying books, newspapers, all of that. So again, now this is also about taking initiative, right? So leadership quality, initiative, write a research paper, initiative. Second, do as many courses as you can. Once you know what course you want to do in the future, what field you want to get into in the future, for example, you are in your 11th or 12th grade, you have picked your stream now, and so now you know that what kind of things you are inclined towards. For example, if you've taken commerce in 11th and 12th, then you know that you are more inclined towards business. Or if you, for example, know if you're interested in, say, for example, economics or finance, then do courses, do online courses. After COVID happened, so many good universities abroad have started offering their courses online. For example, there are various websites that offer online courses. For example, there is Coursera, there is Udemy, there is also LinkedIn also has a few online courses. So go ahead, check out these websites and see online courses. Now, these online courses provide certificates. So once you get the certificate, you can automatically put that on your resume. Okay, that is that. Then apart from that, you can go ahead and volunteer somewhere. So again, as I was saying, that universities these days are looking for a holistic student. They don't just want somebody good at one particular thing. Now, when you go and volunteer somewhere, when you go and work at an NGO, you are giving back to the society. And that really matters to whichever college or organization you are applying to. So you could go, now again, this can't just be a 1 month thing that, okay, or like say I went there on my 18th birthday and I served the children in this particular school. No, that cannot go on your resume. As I mentioned earlier, it has to be consistent. Say, for example, you can add, if you have worked at that NGO, or if you volunteered at that NGO for say 3 to 4 to 5 months, then you can go ahead and put that on your resume. Okay. So that is that. Apart from that, sports is always a great thing. If you have represented your school, or if you have represented your city in a particular sport, then you can go ahead and put that on your resume. Again, now it comes down to picking a hobby for yourself. Now, if you are good at, say, debating, then go ahead and make sure that you put in more effort in that, and you go ahead and excel in that. Attend as many competitions as you can, attend as many, say, if you are good at drawing, so just go ahead and build a portfolio for yourself. So once you have a portfolio, you can present to the college that, okay, this is what I'm good at, this is what I will be beneficial to. You always have to show the college how you will be helping them, how it will be beneficial for them to take you. And that is one thing that really stands out to them, that okay, most students in college write that, okay, this is how your faculty is going to help me, this is how your facilities will help me, I'm interested in this club, I'm interested in that club. When you are building your resume, or when you are writing your SOP, statement of purpose, make sure you tell the college how they will benefit from having you. For example, you can say that I'm a national level basketball player, and if I come to the team, I will be a great addition to the basketball team of the college. If the college doesn't have a basketball team, I will be a great asset to the college in forming a basketball team. I don't want to say this, but like, flaunt yourself as much as you can in your, say, SOP, essays, or resume, all of that. You have to point blank put in all your achievements, point by point by point. Okay, so that is how you build your resume. Apart from that, now again, this is a very subjective thing. I can give you a list of activities that you can do, but if you really want to know how to individually build your resume based on your interests, based on what you are studying, or where you want to work in the future, you can book an appointment with Edurite, and I will be more than happy to guide all of you. But yeah, so this is like a broad thing of how you can build your resume and the kind of activities, achievements that you should put. Now, the last section in your resume should be skills. Now, these can be either soft skills or hard skills. Now, soft skills is something that a lot of organizations have started, say, paying attention to these days. Now, these soft skills are not something that you can be certified for. For example, soft skills are as basic as, say, teamwork. Okay, so you are good at working with people. Or punctuality. Okay, you are very punctual. Now, these things, I would suggest that don't put anything and everything. Put things that are actually true. I really want to stress. I can't stress enough on this. Do not bluff on your resume. Please, please, please do not, because you can bluff on your resume, you can get into the college, and because this has happened with a lot of batchmates of mine, you bluff on the resume, you get into the college, and when the college actually approaches you for the things that you wrote on your resume, you have nothing to do. For example, I had this classmate of mine who said that he was really good at a particular sport, and that he had represented his school for the same. But then when we saw his auditions, when we saw his tryouts for that particular sport, he didn't even know how to play it. So the college automatically knows that you're bluffing. Okay, and then it differs from college to college. Some colleges have, say, a penalty for that. Some colleges don't really care. But why take a chance? Why risk? So do not bluff. Not all colleges ask you for certificates. Not all organizations ask you for certificates, but some colleges do. Some organizations do. They ask you to upload your certificates right before right when you're filling in your application. You're supposed to upload your certificates with your resume. Now, when you're applying abroad, say, for example, if you're applying to USA, there is this portal called the Common App portal. So on Common App, you have to write down certain number of activities that you've done. Even then, now they don't really ask you for your resume, but at the end of the day, they are asking for your profile, right? So they are asking for your achievements and activities. Now, again, even in that, you need to make sure that you add activities based on, say, the importance. For example, based on the scale. For example, if you've organized a flea in your city all by yourself, that is more important than organizing, say, a 3-day summer camp for your school, in your school, right? So you have to look at what is more important and then place it. Now, the other difference between CV and resume is that CV, everything goes in a chronological order, right? But when you're putting in your activities, say on the Common App, or if you're putting your activities on the resume, it doesn't necessarily have to be, say, in a chronological order, right? So these are all the activities that you can do. These are the things that you need to make sure that you don't do, bluff, or say, for example, you need to make your resume very, very professional. You need to make your resume profile, CV, very, very professional. Please don't have email IDs that are not professional. Rockstar, blah, 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 doesn't sound, @gmail.com doesn't sound very professional. So make sure you have like a very professional email ID. You have like a very crisp little introduction about yourself, so that the organization knows who you are without even starting to read the resume. And yeah, that's all that you need to keep in mind while building your resume. If you have any doubts, then you can go ahead and ask me now.
Perfect. So if anyone has any doubt, you can put it in the chat box of our live stream. So I had a few questions made beforehand. So I think I'll start with the first one. So from your understanding, what roles should the students looking to admit themselves into prestigious universities do to build their CVs or profiles? So does extracurricular strike the chord, or is work experience considered more important?
So honestly speaking, when you are in school, when you're in high school, it's more important that you focus on extracurricular activities. But again, if you are, say, a second year student, or if you're a third year student who is looking for internships, then that is where work experience comes into play. Then they don't want to know how many MUNs you have attended or how many leadership activities you have undertaken, because there, when you're applying for internships, then work experience comes into play. When you're applying for masters, then work experience comes into play. That's what I am saying, that you need to make sure that you focus on everything. Don't just focus in one direction. While you are building your extracurricular activities, you also make sure that the internships are a part of your extracurricular activities. You start building your work experience with time as early as possible. So in India, the culture is that people usually, you complete your undergrad and then people directly go for their masters. But people don't know this, that when you go abroad, the average age of students who come there for masters is 25-26 years, because they gain a lot of work experience before they start their masters. So focus on work experience when you are in college. If you have already built a lot of extracurricular activities in your, say, 9th, 10th, 11th, in the 12th grade, if you want to focus on internships, that is great, nothing like it. But when you're in high school, focus on, say, extracurricular activities, and then once you get into college, start building a work experience.
All right. So if, say, for example, I'm applying for an internship, so should my resume then be having more of my extracurricular activities, or should it involve more of my past work experiences?
So now there are two situations that come into play here. So if this is the first time you're applying to an internship and you don't have any previous work experience, then you need to make sure you put in all your extracurricular activities, right? And make sure that the curricular activities that you're putting in are relevant to the field that you're applying in. for example, if you're applying to finance background, if you are from a finance background, if you're applying to an investment banking company, make sure you put in the courses that you've done, or the for example, some event that you organized, or some research paper that you conducted related to finance. Okay, if you have, for example, if you're applying to an investment banking company, they don't want to know about sustainable fashion, right? So only put in information that is relevant to them. Now, if you have a lot of, say, work experience in that particular field, put that. That is more important. Put in the extracurricular activities, but the highlight, the main thing, the main important thing is the work experience there.
Okay, thank you so much. So, is it better to position yourself as a generalist or a specialist on your resume? So, how do you want to? How is it better to portray yourself as, say, a jack of many trades or as a king of one particular trade when you're applying to university?
Right. So, as I mentioned earlier, that it's not important for you to have 10 things on your resume. It's always better to have, say, 3 to 4 things max, or even 2 to 3, as long as you're consistent in that one particular field. So, for example, if you've taken up a particular sport, make sure you get to the end of it, the root of it, so that you can, you can tell them that, okay, I am good at this and I will be an asset. For example, if you have done some 100 activities, okay, then the college is going to say, you will enter here, you will come to us, and you will do 10 more activities. How is that going to benefit us? You will not be able to enter the team, you will not be able to represent us anywhere. So make sure that it's better to go ahead and gain your expertise in 1 to 2, say, limited number of activities that you do, rather than indulging yourself in say 15 different things.
Definitely. So, a common question which people have is, how do they write a strong resume if they don't have much experience work-wise or academically, or they don't have any sort of internship? So, how should they write a resume then?
Right. So now one thing that I want to say is that if you've reached, say, your 11th grade, and you are, say, aware enough about the fact that you have to apply to college, one, start building your resume, start working on your resume. Secondly, if now, like I said, in my case, I was proactive enough, even if I didn't pay attention to the fact that, okay, I have to have a resume, I was doing things at the back of my head. But if you are somebody who knows that, okay, I don't like to spend too much time doing things apart from academics, or I need to focus myself on academics, then do something that, now, for example, you're in your 12th grade, your applications are going to start now. You need to have something on your resume, right? So do things that are, say, that don't take a lot of time. For example, online courses. Do an online course that is a month long. You can do that, finish it, put it on your resume. Go and work in an NGO, say, for a couple of months. Go ahead, do that, put it on your resume. Okay, and even if you show people progress or growth, then that's good. For example, if you go to if for example you do an online course, and you have done online courses in different fields. For example, if you do an online course in finance, management, and say marketing, so then that shows people that, okay, you are still discovering things, but you are making an effort. As long as you have something on your resume that shows that, okay, you are making an effort, it doesn't have to be outstanding, that, okay, I have represented the country in some sport or something like that. As long as you know that there is something that you have put an effort in, put it on your resume. You don't have to attend some 50 MUNs to put it out there. Even if you've attended 3, put it there. But the main advice here is that start building your resume. Focus on your resume, because now organizations have started giving importance to resumes. Because during our time, when we were starting to go, we were applying, so it's been what, 4 years since I applied, because I graduated this year, right? So at that time, it was starting to pick up. Resumes were starting to pick up. People were starting to look at resumes that, okay, show me your, resume as a document. Earlier, people always had like, okay, what are your grade 12 marks? Just give us the marks and then we'll admit you on that basis. So now consciously work on your resume and consciously look at activities that you are interested in and build that. A lot of students also ask me that now IB students have this thing called the CAS. Now CAS is basically, you have to undertake certain activities for the same. People ask me if we can include CAS on our resume. No, you cannot, because it's a compulsion to do it. On your resume, you can only include things that you weren't like, it's not mandatory to do. You did it because you wanted to, right? So even if you've done 3 to 4 things, that's okay. You don't have to worry about having like a foolproof resume. The 1.5 page that I'm talking about, that is max. You don't have to fill in the entire thing. And you always have soft skills. Build your skills, work on your skills and add that on your resume as well.
For sure. I think it's extremely important that people get started with building their resume as early as possible. So when we speak about that, how early do you think people should start building their resume? So middle school, high school, how early?
So see, as I mentioned earlier, that there is no right time for this, but when you're writing your resume, you need to include activities from the past 4 years. For example, if you are applying for your college, make sure you add activities that you've done from 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th. So the perfect time to start to, to make an effort, to put an effort into building a resume is going to be 9th grade. But if you're applying for your master's, then again it changes. Again, 3 to 4 years prior to when you're applying. So then your college, first, second, third, fourth year, right? So if you're a school graduate, that is high school graduate, that is who's going to apply for college now, then 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th.
Perfect. And how often should someone update their CV?
That is a very good question. So how often? And the answer to that is every time you're applying to a different organization. Now, you definitely have to update your CV every time you have something to add on it. For example, you've done a new course, or you've attended a particular webinar, or you've conducted a particular webinar. Go ahead, add that on your resume. But every time you're applying to a new organization, you need to alter your resume according to that. I wouldn't say update it, but I would say alter your resume every time you're applying to a different organization, only because the aim, the objective, the purpose of applying to different organizations is different. For example, the resume that you've sent to your college, you cannot send to the to an internship that you're applying for, right? As I mentioned earlier, that different things are important for different organizations. For example, for colleges, it's more important to look at your achievements, to look at your grades. For internships, it's more important to look at your work experience, right? So update your resume, alter your resume every time you're applying to a new organization.
All right. And is including, say, GPA or personal information like hobbies or interests extremely important? And what difference does it make if we don't really add that to a resume for colleges specifically, not for work experience?
Right. So when you're applying to colleges, you need to put in your GPAs, your scores, because that is a requirement. Even if you don't put it on your resume, it is going to go up on your applications anyway. So you need to put the GPAs there. So when you build your resume, there's an education sector. There's an education section there. So under education, you need to put in how much did you score in 10th and how much did you score in 12th. Okay, so a lot of colleges these days have also started looking at your 11th grade scores. As I mentioned, that 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th are the most crucial years that are considered in your application process. Other than that, hobbies necessarily don't need to go up on your resume unless and until you have like a certificate for it. For example, this example that I gave earlier, if you are interested in debating, do something about it. If that is your hobby, then do something about it and put it on your resume. For example, if you're interested in debating, make a club. If you're interested in debating, go for MUNs. go ahead, and then you will have something to put on the resume. You cannot put something on the resume that you don't have proof for. For example, if you are interested in dancing, you cannot go there, present your resume, and start dancing to prove your talent there, right? You need to go ahead, attend some tournaments, attend some competitions, or say, for example, form a club, organize an event, something of that sort that you can put on your resume.
All right. And should people maybe put in a cover letter or add references or testimonials on the resume?
So, no, the answer for that is a clear no, because do that only when asked for it. So when you apply to, say, internships, you are clearly asked for a cover letter, that please attach a cover letter with this. As I mentioned earlier, that a resume is supposed to be very crisp and very precise. Okay, so you just have to add bullet points to it, and that's that. Again, now when you're applying to colleges, now they will ask you for letters of recommendations, only then send in those. You don't have to do something that you are not asked for, and please do not add those with your resume. That is a big red flag, and people won't even look at your resume if you attach some 100 documents with that.
For sure. And say, for example, if I have a website which I use as my CV or resume, so do you think when I'm applying for internships, it's better to send the link of that website or attach like a formal resume?
Again, I have a very clear answer to this. Always send a document. Please do not attach any website. Say you have a Google Doc website, a Google Doc link and all. Do not send that. Please, please, please download your resume. Send it in a PDF format, not even a Word doc. Please send a PDF to whichever organization you're applying to.
Perfect. And so what's the best format for making a resume? Chronological or skills or functional being that first?
So again, it depends on the kind of resume you're making, the kind of achievements that you have on your resume. So that's what I'm saying, that a resume is a very subjective thing, and it differs from person to person and organization to organization. So talking about the format, as long as it's professional, it's clean, and it's easy to read, then the format is you can choose the format according to your preferences, but just keep it very clean, very professional. Don't, it doesn't have to be very hodgepodge for people. They should be able to read it clearly, because they have thousands of resumes that come in. And if it's something that is not even presentable, they won't even look at it. Right?
Definitely. Yeah.
So, yeah.
So why is the skills summary part or the progress part where we actually tell the company what we did was important? Why is that an important part of a CV? So if I'm applying to a university, there is a section where I can actually explain the part. So why do I need to put the same explanation in my resume?
So now again, see, now a lot of the times there are committees that don't even look at your entire application. They will look at your resume, because that gives them the idea of who you are as a person. When you're applying to colleges, there are screening processes throughout the whole process. Now in that, first they will look at your grades, then they will look at your resume, then they will look at your essays, right? So if you don't make it to the essay part, then then your essay is of no use. So if you haven't really explained it in your resume, if you haven't really explained it in your application, then what you've written in your essay doesn't really make it to the applications committee. So that is why it's important to be very precise and note down everything you have in your resume when you're uploading the document.
For sure. I just have one last question. So what, according to you, is the worst resume mistake except for bluffing?
So except for bluffing, definitely I would suggest, please proofread your essay, your resume when you upload it online, because grammatical errors, spelling mistakes, all of that is a big, big, big red flag when the application committee reads that. And apart from that, as I was saying, it has to be unprofessionalism out. No, please. It has to be very, very professional. And It has to be very clean. Please make sure there are different sections for all different, say, for example, education, work experience, skills, personal statement, all of that. And yeah, that's that. We have actually done a very detailed video on the formatting of a resume. And we've also done a very detailed video on building the resume. So if you have any questions, you can go ahead and look at those videos on our Instagram. The link is in the message inbox that Devyani has sent. So yeah, and if you have any questions, I will be more than happy to schedule a session individually and answer to all your questions.
Perfect. Thank you so much for this lovely session. It was a privilege having you here with us today. I deeply thank you for so generously agreeing and willing to be a part of our initiative. Your contribution here will always be remembered by Ekansh and various young women it will eventually empower. We have raised over 20,000 in the past week, and we will be donating it to an NGO which supports vocational education. And like I've said before, you are extremely inspirational, and I hope all the people who took out their time today and joined in our session taken as much as I did. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me here, Devyani. I'm beyond grateful to have the opportunity to contribute to the fund that you've raised so far, and I will be more than happy to help any of you in the future as well. Ekansh is doing great work. This is a great initiative, and I wish you guys all the luck for future as well.
Thank you so much. Have a great